Hey everyone, it's been a while, but I have a special review for you today. I have a KWA gas blowback Tavor. At this point, I think all of you know what a Tavor is and you know its history, so let's just get on with the review. This Tavor is licensed by Umarex, so it comes in a standard cardboard box with minimal styrofoam padding. It's perfectly fine, but nothing special. You get an instruction manual, which is kind of useless. It just tells you the basics in numerous different languages, doesn't even have a takedown guide, and won't be of much use. You get tools for disassembly, a speed loading tool, and the hop-up tool. The hop-up in this gun is just like any other KWA weapon. You open the bolt, put in the tool, and turn it left and right. Aside from that, you get a 40-round PMAG style magazine and your fancy KWA Tavor. This Tavor is compatible with any KWA styled M4 mags, so the PMAG is just to look good. This is great though because KWA M4 mags are not too hard to find. KWA gas M4 magazines, just to be super clear. Obviously AEG M4 mags won't work in this. First impressions I had with this gun were super positive. This thing is rather heavy, but not in the way of being heavy just for the sake of adding weight, but in the way that it feels like a Tavor should. The weight is balanced closer to the back of the weapon, which feels comfortable in your shoulder, and in general, it feels realistic. In fact, the last airsoft gun I held that felt like this was a real sword. If you're one of the few people out there that's still upset about guns being made out of plastic these days, this one might change your mind. Most of the build is polymer like the real thing. I didn't see any scuff marks in my time using it, and overall it just feels incredibly solid. In fact, while filming one of the shots I needed for this video, I propped it up against a WE Glock 18. And it scratched up the Glock 18 while the Tavor didn't seem to care at all. Maybe that's a bit of a low bar to compare it to, but this is definitely on the higher quality side of things. Shooting it felt just as good. I know a lot of people are a little skeptical when it comes to bullpups as they think it might be awkward compared to the regular M4s, but this gun felt pretty smooth to operate. The mag release is this big button right in front of the mag that you can't miss. The bolt catch is this big button behind the mag you can't miss. The magazine clicks into place very firmly. The selector switch is right where your thumb rests and loudly clicks into place. The charging handle is this big lever in the front of the gun. Overall, it's very straightforward, natural, and intuitive. With that said, there is one complaint I do have about the operations. If you want to lock the bolt open with the magazine not in the gun, it's this awkward two-handed thing. You gotta pull the bolt back and then pull down on that big button in the back. And it can be somewhat difficult to do. With that said, that's not really something you're going to be doing in the middle of a game, so it's more of a minor hindrance, but it could be better. The last thing people are skeptical about when it comes to bullpups is the trigger, and this means more with a gas blowback rifle than an AEG. Thankfully, the KWA Tavor's trigger feels pretty good. There's a very clear, distinct break, and you know when it's going to happen before it happens. I didn't even think about this factor until I got all the film I needed of me shooting this gun. The trigger doesn't feel quite as good as your traditional M4, but I only really noticed when I just sat there pulling the trigger over and over again, questioning it. Why did I phrase that as if I was interrogating my gun? Moving on. One of the other few complaints I have about this gun is that the iron sights could be a little better. They're solid metal flip-up sights that usually sit flush with the gun. They lock into place positively, so you won't have to worry about them falling down or something like that, and you can adjust them so they do their job fine, but they definitely could be a lot better. That said, you got this big rail up top, so this gun was clearly made to run with an optic, and that's highly what I would recommend you use. It's also got a rail on the other side for a laser or whatever you would want. Your standard rails, your standard sling mounts, etc., all that stuff you should be expecting on any gun, this gun has it. And I really want to stress that this gun feels good to operate. You know what I mean by that. Selector switch makes loud clicky noises, magazines click into place solidly, the bolt is a big heavy piece of metal that really clanks forward. Oh, and it also does that as you're shooting. This gun is loud, and I can't stress that part enough. This gun is already far louder than other gas blowback rifles, but the fact that it's bullpup means that it's happening right next to your ear, so it makes it even louder. Depending on who you are, this can be a good or a bad thing, but it can definitely leave your ears ringing because it's happening so close to your head. It took me a little bit to get used to this, and once I did, it wasn't a problem, but you're definitely going to have to go through that. Thankfully, this isn't like some other guns, and it does not blast you with gas, so that's nice. I did mention the bolt is a big chunk of metal, and with that big chunk of metal comes a pretty hefty amount of recoil. You can see it as I'm shooting, in my face, it's just shaking me around. This thing has a good amount of recoil. If you're trying to place accurate shots at range, you are going to need semi-automatic. That usually goes without saying when it comes to gas blowback rifles, but even more so with this. But what good is a gas blowback rifle if you can't disassemble it quickly? Well, thankfully, this gun is very easy to disassemble. You just have to push out one pin in the back, which is self-retaining so you can't lose it, open the buttstock, and the recoil spring and bolt will slide right out. You can disassemble the gun farther very easily, but for the sake of keeping the video flowing, I'm not going to disassemble the entire thing. Instead, I'll post a video down below in the video information showing a full takedown guide of the KWA Tavor in full detail. That video is also going to show you how you can turn this gun from right-handed to left-handed, and it's also very easy. So if you're a left-handed person that wants this gun, you do not need to worry, you can make this gun left-handed pretty easily. All you have to do is unscrew this Allen wrench key and move the metal piece to the other side. You can also move the select switch to the other side and the charging handle to the other side. So this gun is fully left or right-handed friendly, but not on the fly. This means if you want to swap to your offhand to shoot around a corner, you're going to have a loud gun right in your face and also be blasted in the face with gas. On top of that, swapping it from right to left-handed is a long-term solution, so any of your right-handed friends are going to hate you if they want to shoot it. This is more of a negative thing to the Tavor's design as a whole rather than the actual KWA Tavor, but that's the hand you were dealt. If you wanted a Tavor, you're probably already aware of these downsides. At least it's better than, say, the L85. You're left-handed and want to use the L85? Too bad, become right-handed. Okay, all of this is really nice, but how does it shoot? Thankfully, like a dream. On average, the KWA Tavor fires 350 to 400 feet per second. However, this specific Tavor has an upgrade kit in it. It's the TNT CNC Retrofit Kit. This kit has a specially made barrel and hop-up bucking just for KWA M4 style designs. So it's got its own specially made hop-up bucking, hop-up chamber, hop-up nud, barrel, etc, etc. You can buy this kit separately, and it's important to mention that you can use any barrel with it. You don't have to use this barrel. So if you got a barrel you already like, then keep using that barrel with this kit. I put a link down below in the video information to where you can buy it if you're interested, and I also put a link down below in the video information to where you can buy the KWA Tavor on the same website. Unfortunately for this situation, I live in the middle of a city and don't have a car to drive way out of the city to fully show you how accurate this thing is, but this gun is the most accurate weapon I have ever fired. And I'm not being hyperbolic when I say that. I legitimately mean this is more accurate than the snipers I have tried. It's genuinely ridiculous how accurate this thing is. That test there is at 100 feet or 30 meters, and at that range, there's no way I'm gonna miss this target. That's a small 22 target, maybe only 4 inches wide. With this upgrade kit, this gun can easily out-snipe snipers. If your main goal is to be the most accurate person on the field, this upgrade kit is definitely going to get you there. Now, KWA's performance is usually slightly above average, but not really anything outstanding. So even though this upgrade kit isn't needed, it's definitely encouraged. Depending on the weather and temperature outside, you can get anywhere between 2 to 4 magazines out before you need to recharge. So where does that leave us? Should you bother with the KWA Tavor? I don't really need to phrase this as a question. If you want a gas blowback Tavor, this is absolutely worth your money, and I would recommend going and buying it right now. It's finely crafted, realistic feeling, decent on gas consumption, and performs great. It checks every box you'd want out of a Tavor, so if that's what you're wanting, go right ahead. I'm going to be showing this gun firing in a moment. Before I do that, let me explain where I've been because I've been absent on this channel for a while. I'm very active over on my video game account. Now before you click away, I'm not a Let's Player. I put actual effort into my content. And I do think it shows. I'm pretty proud of the content I post over there, so please go check it out. I also stream very often to my Twitch, which is basically the only way I can talk to you guys live. I love being able to talk to you guys. If you want to check that out, be sure to go ahead. But that about sums up my review for the KWA Tavor. I hope you guys have enjoyed it, and I will see you next time.